Hey y'all, welcome back to Stories on Sunset. My name is Sureth, and what I'm doing with these stories every week is raising funds for my favorite venues on the Sunset Strip and Sunset Boulevard, um, like the Rainbow, the Whiskey A Go Go, the Viper Room, Amoeba, and so forth. The GoFundMe accounts are on the bottom of this video on YouTube, so be sure to check those out and click on your favorite links. Donate to one, donate to some, donate to all, and help them afloat during the coronavirus. Um, I don't have much, but I do have stories, and this is my way of raising funds for them. And hopefully, when you watch these in tonight, live now, or in the future, you'll love the story and help me donate to some really cool venues, some mom and pop venues, and all that stuff, and help keep them afloat with their staff. Anywho, this is my story of Lamb of God at the Hollywood Palladium during my journalism days in from 2012 to 2014. And I remembered I didn't have to be the first in line anymore because I had my credentials to cover the show. So I just had to go to the not the post office, but the box office and show my ID, and they would let me in. They just needed to check my camera and what was in my pockets, and it was usually my journal and my pens and stuff. Didn't carry much around me or on me as I covered the shows. But I remembered it was Halloween night, and every Halloween while I lived out in LA, I would dress up as my superhero alter ego, Wu Manchu, and I would go to these heavy metal shows or rock shows. And like the years before that, I went and saw Misfits and Danzig and Sam Hain at my in my outfit, and I brought the guy that was Jason Voorhees or Leatherface in the remakes of those movies. His name was Andrew something, and I took him to the shows. Well, this particular year, I went and saw Lamb of God at the Hollywood Palladium, all dressed up as Wu Manchu, head to toe, mask, beanie, shirt, pants, like all Wu Tang logos, all up and down with a cape, and and there was a merch table, of course. Since I got into the show for free to cover the show, I bought myself a Lamb of God shirt to at least put some food in their stomachs or gas for the next town that they were on tour with or whatever. I'm always there to support somehow, some way with my journalism skills. If it wasn't for a review, I would buy a shirt or a poster or whatever they had at the merch table. Uh, so I ended up going covering the show, got my merch and everything, and tucked it in my cargo pants, and because I had all these pockets, for pens and journals and stuff. And so it was time for us to meet up, all the journalists, all the photographers, to meet up with the person in charge of escorting us to the photo pit. So I was there, camera ready and everything. And I can't remember who the opening act was or the direct support, but I would always remember it was Lamb of God that was headlining it. And so I was ready to go, first three songs, ready to shoot. And I remembered Randy was with his dreadlocks, and his shirt was said "Creature" on it. And I'll look up what the creature is. I always think of the creature from the Black Lagoon because the lettering reminded me of the movie, um, or those movies, which was filmed here in Florida, up the street from my place. Um, but I was dressed up as Wu Manchu, and I remembered some of the crowd members in the front, like because I'm in between the front row and the stage, and some of them were cheering like Wu Tang and throwing their W's up, and it was like the coolest thing because I'm at a metal show or a rock show, and there's like hip hop fans in the crowd. Um, but and so I ended up going there, um, waiting for the music to come on and the band to arrive and all that stuff, and I was on my tippy toes because I saw the set list on the stage, and I had to write down every single song in my journal. I have like it's all shorthand, but I definitely had to write down all the song titles. It was, if you're seeing it from my perspective, It was upside down, so I had to do my very best, or else I would take my cell phone and take a quick shot of it and then put it back in my pocket. But I did what I could. But one of the stagehands, I guess, noticed me writing their set list in my journal as I tippy toed back and forth, and they were probably wondering what I was doing. And so I had the first three songs wrapped up. I took all the photos that I could of every single member. I usually take a photo of each member of each band and like a full shot of like the whole band. And then we got escorted out, and I made my way to the very back of the venue. And I guess some stagehand saw me doing what I did with the pen, the journal, and the set list, just taking the notes. And I was writing as I was writing in my journal and covering the show and paying attention to like what everyone was doing on stage, what song were they on, and all that stuff. The stagehand or whoever it was just saw the superhero, the only person dressed up for Halloween in the photo pit. Um, he saw me in there, and he walked up to me, and he threw the set list, like a copy of the set list, right on my journal. And I was like, "Holy crap! This is so awesome!" Didn't know who he was or what, but that totally helped me out with my article. And if he's out there, thank you for doing that, because that definitely helped me out with the article. And it was pretty cool to keep Lamb of God set list in my journal. I still to this day I have it taped up in the journal, but I gave all my like the first six journals to like my best friends and to Clive Barker um, a journal, because he's the one that gave me my first concert journal. And so it's in one of those journals. It might be in the ones that are like next to my bed here, because there's a bunch of concert journals left here. I think there's like 18 total. But I stopped writing, covering concerts recently, because I don't want to go deaf, because I covered way too many concerts in a short amount of time. And I see 1-0 out there, so if you have a Lamb of God story, feel free to jump in the comments and I'll read them on air. But definitely, it was a really cool experience to experience Lamb of God in that way. And I'm happy that I got my shirt, and it's locked away at my parents' house in Colorado, um, with the rest of my concert shirts in this big old Ziploc bag. I don't know how big the Ziploc bag is, but it's pretty big and it's pretty heavy. And as soon as I get my new place, my place on my own, back home in Colorado, I'll probably do something cool with those concert shirts through the years, because there's almost every single genre of music. I'm not sure how fast they're typing in the chat box, but hopefully they type fast. But that's my story with Lamb of God, and what I'm doing with these stories called Stories on Sunset. Stories, they can be referred to as the stories of the buildings on Sunset, whether they're the venues itself or the condominiums or apartment complexes. But this is just stories that happened, that didn't make it onto my articles, because, well, I didn't have time to put all the cool experiences in my articles. That didn't happen to the band, and I just wanted to keep it real with my articles. And I call it Tiger Style Journalism. And if you want me to teach you how to write in Tiger Style Journalism, it's different from AP, Chicago, and Gonzo Style. In fact, I mashed them all together. But yeah, the Stories on Sunset is pretty much raising funds through GoFundMe or whatever they have below this video on YouTube. Click on those links, donate to the Rainbow, the Whiskey, the Viper Room, the staff. Will surely thank you. And that's what I'm doing, because I can't donate to all of them. So I'm using my stories to help raise funds for everyone else. But next week, I'm really excited, because my friend Johnny Yu from Warner Drive and Bullets Noctane will be my guest on Stories on Sunset. So I hope to raise funds for his music career, as well as all the venues, all the mom and pop shops there, like Amoeba and Rainbow, and all my favorite venues, because they were my safe havens out in LA, and I couldn't have survived Los Angeles without them. and keeping me safe on those streets as I covered concerts. And this has been Stories on Sunset. This is SOS. This is my SOS to the world. This is my message in a bottle. See you next week as I interview Johnny Yu from Warner Drive. And hopefully you like the story. I'll see you next week on Stories on Sunset. Have a good night.